So I finally sold my 2014 Dodge Promaster. I figured I'd take one last video of it just to document the camper van that I lived in for over 3 years and the work that I did on the camper van. So most of what's going to be in this video is already in picture form on Facebook, but I figured it'd be good to take one last video to make sure I got everything. This Cubic Mini with stove definitely handled pretty well during the winter. I shouldn't say pretty well, it handled really well. These lights are nice to have. I really like the lights where they have the switches right on them instead of having to install a separate light switch on the wall. These mats aren't anything exciting. I just had them in here for when I was barefoot and I didn't want to be on the cold hardwood floor. The front of the cab isn't as clean as it was when I first got it, obviously, but it's still really clean. The floor is dirty, but the plastic, dashboard, seats, and everything are still really clean. I meant to take that rearview mirror down because I don't have a window in the back, but I never got around to doing that. So there's a rearview mirror and no window in the back. And even if there was a window in the back, I built a wall here so you wouldn't see out the window anyways. And this wall has magnets sewn into the wall. So a magnet there and a magnet there, closes automatically. I hand sewed this whole wall. Took a while because it was done by hand, but it turned out pretty well. Obviously not perfect, but it turned out well. I left a little gap on the top specifically for air to pass through because you want good ventilation when you're in a RV, camper van, tiny house, anything like that. Then up here, there's some extra storage. I don't really have anything too exciting up there. I'm giving away my camping stove with the tiny house, with this camper van, which I kind of regret in a way because I've had that for a long time. My parents bought it for me, but it maybe added to the value of the camper van. These baskets I bought at Lowe's. They fit in here almost perfectly. So they fit in this opening really well, and then they go down so they won't slide out. And then I put a little divider in the middle so they won't slide too far side to side. And then the fridge underneath, as you can see, it's a Dometic. It can be a fridge or a freezer. I believe it can go down to -10 degrees. So definitely more than cold enough for a freezer. Up here, this is the countertop for cooking and whatnot. This is where I used the camping stove. Here I have some magnets on the wall for silverware. So I usually did like a fork, spoon, knife, and then a sharp knife. So kitchen butter knife or whatever you want to call it, and then some kind of sharp knife. And then up here, storage. The storage worked really well. I didn't finish the inside of the storage because I didn't think it was really that necessary. Plus, I wanted to be able to show the insulation that I put in there. You can see spray foam insulation. then denim, then reflectix. So that's the insulation, and then also the tongue and groove adds a little more insulation. And this wood obviously adds a little insulation, but it's not meant for that. It's more for looks. This wire you see, it's Christmas lights. Again, I didn't need to add that with the van when I sold it, but I just thought it'd be a little extra something to add. And I'll stand in the front of the cab, the front cab, so you can get a little better picture of how big the van is. So there's about 5-6 feet of floor space, composting toilet, the inverter, the gasoline heater, the solar control panel, the solar control panel, the couch, the built-in couch with storage inside of it. I have the electrical in there, the gasoline heater in there, and then the gasoline heater comes out through right there. And the gasoline heater can either pull air from behind the toilet or underneath the bed. So I have it pulling from underneath the bed, so it pulls air from inside of there, blows hot air out right here, so it kind of circulates around the van, so the underside of the bed still gets air circulation even though it's kind of cut off from other stuff. And yeah, this wood stove really did well for me over a couple winters. It's the Cubic Mini. It's a regular wood stove, it's just really small. Can't really see too much in there. There's not really much to see. This is the airflow for going in right here for providing oxygen to the fire right there. This is the secondary combustion, secondary burn. So that has a tube that goes behind it and comes out up here. So the unburned particles from inside of here burn up here. So when it comes out the top, there's less coming out, but also you get a more efficient burn. And while I was talking about that, you maybe saw this door closed the rest of the way on its own. It was almost closing, the magnets sucked it closed. That's how I designed it, so that it would pull closed on its own. But there's still some ventilation. Just like even here, I left a little gap for air around here. I didn't want to make this too tight. Around here, I didn't want to make this too tight. And it's also has good air circulation, just like the heater going from underneath the bed, pulling from there, coming out here, and then hot air rises and it pulls back down there and circulates. This mattress I bought online, I measured this couch that I made, and then custom ordered the mattress for it, the cushion for it. And that board is on hinges. And then you can see this is the composting toilet. Don't worry, it's all nice and clean. So this is the Nature's Head composting toilet. And it has a fan that's going right now, but if I stop talking, even with it this close, you can't hear the fan. The fan's right there. Okay, I could hear the fan a little bit, but that's because I know what I'm listening for, and I'm right next to it. Then, oh well, and that's the tube right there for the air to go from the composting toilet down through the floor and outside. Then underneath here, this is the S-bar gasoline heater. So all the wiring for it and the housing, everything's down there. And then I built a shelf over it so you can use that as storage. It's not just for the heater. And then down here, this is where the heat comes out. And this is also another little storage area. But one reason why I built this was also so my dog could jump from here to there on the couch and then onto the bed because he's getting older. And so this is the solar panel, the solar charge controller, the S-bar controller, S-bar gasoline controller, and the inverter with 2 regular outlets, 2 USB outlets. And then underneath here, kind of hard to take that out with. There we go. Drop the phone. That's right. So I have the 2 deep cycle batteries, circuit breaker with all the wires from the lights, the outlets, the fan, the toilet, the heater, everything going there, and then a positive cable going in, negative cable going in, and I have all these labeled. So it's good to label them, whether they're going to the fan or the outlet, but also if it's positive or negative, just so later on you don't have a problem with it. Then this is a larger 30 amp fuse for the solar system. This is a larger 30 amp fuse for the inverter. And this is, I can't remember how many amps, but this is a larger amperage fuse for the circuit breaker. I think it's 45 or something like that. I can't remember. I did the math on how much I was plugging in here. I figured out how much I would need for this fuse, plus maybe a little bit extra, just in case if I added a couple things to that fuse box. Okay. I'm going to try to put this back in one-handed. Okay, going back in. It's going a little easier. I cut this little notch for the wires, just to know the wires are getting pinched. You can see this is all on hinges. Oh, and it's good to add that I double wired everything. So these these lights and the outlets, like for that fridge, everything has 2 sets of wires for all those. So there's 2 positive, 2 negative. Only 1 positive and 1 negative is being used right now. But I did a backup and I routed them through a different way, like 1 through that way, 1 from there along that edge and down and around the back, and then down through there again. That part, there's some space behind that carpet, so there's enough space for the wires to go through safely. But the reason why I did that was in a van, there's a lot of vibrations, you're moving a lot, and I don't want any of the wires to get worn down and cut through, and then they're not working. But if that does happen, then there's a backup set, and they went a different route, so hopefully that doesn't happen to both of them. And this is the fantastic fan. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but this is a thermostat. You can set the temperature. This is the fan speed. That's a fuse. That changes which direction the air is coming out. It can either come in, go out, or in the center, it doesn't do anything. That automatically opens and closes it. That one you can manually open and close it however much you want to. And then the top is clear, so it's also a skylight. So it's pretty nice. And then over here, this is mold killing, mildew killing, and mold and mildew resistant paint, because the bed is pushed against the wall really tight on both sides. And I put that paint there because there wouldn't be as much airflow, and I didn't want anything growing there that shouldn't grow there. And then smoke detector and fire extinguisher just in case. And then those two outlets, you can see it's a cigarette lighter and it's two USB outlets for both of those outlets. And another light that's not on right now. Those outlets are the same as the outlet behind that fridge. So there's 6 USB outlets, or 6 USB ports with those 3 outlets. There's a USB port on this end of the fridge, which is hard to get to. There's 2 USB ports on that inverter, 1 USB port on that solar charge controller, and then the 2 normal outlets, the 2 cigarette lighter outlets there, and the 1 cigarette lighter outlet there. Nothing else too exciting in here. Let's go to the back before it gets too dark. And this video is getting kind of long, so I don't want to ramble on for too long. Now turn the light on. There we go. So this is all wood tongue and groove back here, just like inside. In here, I did spray foam insulation, just like the rest of the van, but also the spray foam insulation has Rhino liner on it. It's not Rhino liner brand, but it's truck bed liner, which is what Rhino liner is. So it's a metal protective edge there, metal protective edge here, and this is again Rhino liner or truck bed liner, whatever. Truck bed liner down here, and that's what I was talking about with the S-Bar gasoline heater. So this is where the air is coming in, getting sucked from right now. It goes through, enters the combustion area, heats up, goes out that other part, and then the heat rises, and then comes back here, goes down, and goes back in there for good air circulation. At least that's the theory. Then right here is where I was saying they could connect the air if they wanted to. So it's sucked from there, go in through, come right out, and it would just be a quick, fast circle right there. I just feel like that's not as efficient. That's not using the spaces wisely. It's not as good of air circulation. Combination of things. And then this is all the wiring. So you can see here, even though this is extra wiring, it says positive fan, backlight, extra. And it's good to write positive or negative on each one. But hypothetically, if you don't, you can take a tester and connect it to both ends and see which one you're dealing with, whether it's, just so you have the right ends, and then you can tell if it's positive or negative. And these wires will go through right there. That's where the other wires are going. So these I just left out for now until the next owner decides what they want to do. I'm selling it tomorrow. That's why I'm making the video. But I just left them there because I didn't know for sure what the next owner wanted done with them. This is a good view from the back. And the camper van life is really nice. You can park on a mountaintop, you can park on a beach, park on a lake, whatever. And you have an awesome view. Well, you can have an awesome view or a terrible view, depending on where you want to park. But I'm going to miss the van. Luckily, I'm selling it for the same amount of money I put into it. And then I lived in it for over 3.5 years. So I saved a lot of money on it. Or saved a lot of money on rent. And I put that money from rent that I saved into this house. that I'm parked in front of right now. And it's kind of hard to see the house. This is just the front. Even if you see the side, it's kind of hard to see. There's Solo. Solo, come here. The tripod. Hey, Solo. But yeah, it's a 1,800 square foot house, so it's a decent size. Has a crawl space at 6 feet 7 inches high, so it's more like a basement than a crawl space. And I put a concrete floor down there after digging a little bit deeper, so it's definitely more like a basement now. And yeah, it's gonna work out well. I'm rented to a couple of friends while I'm living in Korea. Well, that's the end of this van for me. Oh yeah, and these two solar panels I didn't say before, but they're Go Power. They're each 160 watts, so it's 320 watts. And I believe I said what the brand was for the fan, but the fan is a fantastic fan. It's a really well known, good quality brand. I ran it sometimes 24/7 for like a few weeks in a row, and I never had any issues. Didn't drain much power. Everything in there, lights, outlets, the refrigerator, the gasoline heater, everything's 12 volt. The lights are all 12 volt LED, and 12 volt power is better to use when you're dealing with solar and batteries like this, because it uses the power more efficiently. So the solar panels create 12 volt power, and all these outlets use 12 volt power. So it's just using it, all the outlets, everything's using it directly from the batteries. But if you're using an inverter, it's going from the batteries to inverter to the outlet or whatever it's going to, and it's wasting power and losing power. So it's good to use 12 volt power whenever possible, and with lights it's good to use LEDs and 12 volt. The heater, the wood stove, was really nice because I saved a lot of power. I didn't really use the gasoline heater, the S-bar heater, at all, because I had the wood stove, so I didn't really have a need for the gasoline heater. But yeah, if you have any questions about how to make a camper van, how doing the insulation, whether it's spray foam insulation, denim, or Reflectix, let me know. I'm in the process of building a second camper van. I'll try to get down here real quick without falling, hopefully. Trying to look at the phone and walking down that hill, the rock hill right there. I almost fell, but yeah, so I'm doing a camper van conversion over here right now. And this one, I've only done 2 days of work on it so far, but it's coming along pretty well. This van has only 63,000 miles on it, so it's definitely a good deal. So, bunch of insulation. I didn't do spray foam this time, because I'm gonna gear this sail towards the California market a little bit more than the Colorado or Wisconsin market. But all time and groove, just like before. I'm gonna put light up there, another fan, another light, and then this floor is all rubber with insulation underneath it, which is also padding, and so that's all waterproof. And that's gonna work really well if you're surfing, biking, hiking, whatever, snowboarding. You can just throw shit on the floor. You don't need to worry about anything damaging the floor. And yeah, this one should be finished in a week or two. And I'm gonna try selling it on the West Coast. For one thing, for an excuse to go out to the West Coast again. But yeah, let me know if you need a camper van and you're on the West Coast, or if you're in Colorado. if you want to make me if you want to offer a good amount of money for it, then I wouldn't mind selling it here in Colorado and then still making a trip out to California. But yeah, this van only has, like I said, 63,000 miles on the engine. It has some hail damage, and it's 2002, so it's not really new. But yeah, it only has 63,000 on the engine, so it's a really new engine, especially compared to most vans that people are buying right now. And yeah, it's a really powerful engine. Um, runs really smooth, no trouble with anything. It's a 3500 Chevy Express. Yeah, let me know if you're looking for a van. Thanks.